Hello, welcome to tonight's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Esther Muinjangue, your host for tonight. Let's quickly look at today's front page of Namibian Sun.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun and Namibia Media Holdings. The Evening Review focuses on interviews, latest news and up-to-the-minute current events. Contact evening@synergy.com.na. Evening Review, unpacking today's pertinent issues.
Tonight I'm joined in the studio by the Deputy Minister of Health, Esther Muinjangue, who is also the President of the National Unity Democratic Organization.
Yes, Nudo.
Nudo, welcome to the show. Welcome
Thank
back.
you very much, Trevor.
Yes.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Yes. I want us to talk to engage on the topical issue in the country now, which is abortion. Everybody's talking about it. Social media is lightened up about this subject. You issued a statement yourself in Parliament last week, Thursday, also weighing in on this debate. But your statement was inconclusive. I was just going through a while ago, and it doesn't really, in the end, say what your own position on the matter is. You're just calling for a robust debate, but
Yeah.
what is your own
That's the conclusion.
Yeah.
I want the Namibians to talk about it, to discuss it, to debate on it, because for now I think my own personal conviction on the matter is irrelevant. And I'm also careful not to influence people because of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that is why it was put the way it was.
But when I look at, when I read between the lines, I can almost conclude that you are cautiously calling for the legalization of this thing, because you even painted a picture of a girl traveling to South Africa where this whole thing is legal, and they book themselves in a bed and breakfast in Cape Town, conduct this process and come back on an Intercape bus back to Windhoek, and that should stop, essentially. That is someone saying that we should legalize abortion.
Trevor, that is your conclusion?
Yeah.
Because I brought that deliberately. Because for me, it's not a matter of a yes or a no.
Yes.
It's not something that you can wake up in the morning and say, yes, legalize it, or don't legalize it. For me, it's very important for the nation to look at what are the pros and cons. Can we use other countries as benchmark and learn from their experiences? So that example that you are just alluded to, I brought it deliberately because I wanted to paint a picture that even if it is legal, it still has its own challenges. Yes, you see? So it's not by implication that I want it to be legalized, but I wanted people to understand that as much as it was carried out in a country where it has been legalized, it has its impact on the person, you know, and especially the psychological impact that it has, especially that case that I was using. You know, the trauma, the psychological effect of sleeping in that room, knowing that there is something else in the room with you as well that came out of your body. And I want us to imagine what that person can go through. And then you are back home and you have this abdominal pain. And when you go to the clinic, they find out that a piece of a placenta was left in your body. So that is deliberately brought up for people also to understand that as much as people are crying for legalizing it, it has its challenges as well. And it's important for us as a nation to look at what are the challenges, what are the pros and cons of a legal abortion or in a country where it is legal. What are the disadvantages and disadvantages, the pros and cons, the challenges when it comes to backyard abortion. That is why it looks like I was very evasive on not bringing in my own opinion, because I have an opinion, of course. You know, as an individual, I have my personal conviction. I have my personal values. I'm living in a society also that has societal values. I am in a profession that has professional values. So these are all things that one needs to take into account. I'm working for an organization that also has its own organizational culture and values. So these are all things that at the end of the day will impact what type of decision we are taking.
Indeed. Now, Minister, I think one of the difficulties that you find yourself in is being a Deputy Minister of Health. Maybe that also puts you in a corner there. But one of the issues that I have personally with African politics in general and Namibian politics in particular is that our political organizations, our political parties are not very clear on issues to say, as Nudo, this is what we stand. You know, you can't be flip-flopping on a subject. So Nudo ought to have a position on abortion. What is the Nudo's position? Of course,
you are right. And it's not only on abortion. There are so many other sensitive, critical issues that we as political parties are not, we are very evasive. And that is simply because you take the broader context in which you operate as a party. And I remember even with this one motion, there were people out there, the moment you mention abortion, what came to their mind was you are looking for the legalization of it, which is not the case. So maybe the type of environment, the broader context in which we are living is also affecting political parties to be evasive when it comes to certain issues, because, and that is the reason why I'm saying, as Namibians, so as a broader community, we need to start being open-minded and discuss and talk about certain issues, because that is awareness creation, and that is also part of education, and that is part of helping people to be more conscious and more sensitized in order for people to understand. Because the moment we decide that we are not going to talk about certain issues, the issues are there. They are creating problems. So look at the issue of sex, for example. How many parents are discussing it with their own children? We don't, because we are saying it's taboo. And we were brought up by parents who never discuss it with their own children. So we carry on like that.
Yes.
And that is time for us, because even if you don't discuss, the children today, they have devices, they can go into internet and they can read and get information.
Yes.
So what is the best information? Is it the one that they are getting from their parents or other socializing agents that can also be accompanied with advice and discussions?
Yes.
Or is it going into the internet, get information there and try to carry whatever information you are getting? So that is the reason why maybe many political parties are very evasive when it comes to that. And also given our background of being conservative, traditionalist, where the culture is still, you know, in many cases affecting our outlook on many of the issues.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Just the last question on this subject before we move on to the one briefly, Deputy Minister, is you are a professional social worker. You are trained in that space. What are some of the things that you come across in that space as far as pregnancies, unwanted pregnancies? And again, unwanted pregnancies, I'm not just using the Namibian definition of unwanted pregnancies, which is, oh, the child is young, she can be pregnant. Sometimes unwanted pregnancy, in my view, means that you had, as a woman, you had a boyfriend, and that is all that you wanted, just boyfriend, girlfriend. But then something happens, you become pregnant, and you say, no, I like him as a boyfriend, but not as a father of my child. And therefore, in this case, I want to terminate this thing, because I never wanted anything more than what we already had. What are some of the psychological sort of impacts that come out of situations like that?
It's a lot of things, because maybe before that, nowadays we emphasize on human rights. We emphasize on we have rights, and the rights are giving us freedom to do certain things. But we tend to forget that a right also goes with responsibilities. You know, as a woman, as a young girl, in a relationship, I should also know and take responsibility that being in a relationship, what could be the consequences? And if I'm not ready to have a child now, or the man that I'm dating is not the one that I want to be the father to my child or children, there are many other ways of preventing. You can still have nice time with that person, but preventing to get pregnant. So the right should also go with responsibilities. Now, and that is why I'm saying that abortion or unwanted pregnancy is affecting a lot of systems in the community, not only that individual. But if we have a large percentage of women aborting or dumping their children, that has an impact on other systems as well. For example, health, gender, because they also need to look for places now where they can keep these babies and so on. The Christian system, the churches, they are also affected, because they start asking the morality. What is the morale of our nation? Are we playing a good, effective role as churches or not? So many systems are affected, and the individual herself is very much affected also, because feelings of shame and guilty consciousness and so on. These are all things that people are going through, and that is why there is a need for escalating, you know, reproductive health education in our schools and so on. And also, I know many other cases where young girls wanted to abort. But the moment you talk to them, you provide counseling in a very safe environment, it helped them to change their minds. Some even decided to keep their babies, or the family members, the extended family members were there to provide support. Or if they could not, and they didn't want that child, the child could be given for adoption and so on. So there are also many other ways that one can look at.
Indeed. No, so we hope on this topic, Deputy Minister, that that Parliament will heed your call for a robust debate, because this debate has gone on for too long. We can't debate for the rest of our lives. We ought to, at some point, say, okay, we have debated enough, let's now take a decision.
Exactly.
So I hope they will understand your call there and make a conclusive decision on that one. Before I let you go, Minister, let's quickly talk about the situation of COVID-19. Today, this morning, there was no new case reported, which we appreciate, but as it has become, I think, the practice lately, there's also sometimes some evening briefing. We hope there will be no bad news today.
The moment we see the minister, then we know what it means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I want to engage you quickly, Minister, on is the Walvis Bay situation. I'm sure as a ministry, as government, you must have arrived at some scientific conclusion as to why all of a sudden Walvis Bay has become the epicenter of the country. 100 cases out of 150 in total. 100 of them are from Walvis Bay. That's a huge number. How did Walvis Bay become the epicenter in your assessment?
I think this is not a scientific one as you are referring to.
Yeah.
But that is my own personal observation.
Yeah.
The moment we started to get more cases in Walvis Bay, we engage in expanded targeted testing.
Yes.
So we started to test at a very rapid rate. And I think that also helped. And the contact tracing exercise was also, fast-tracked and escalated, and I think that helped also for us to pick up the cases, because I can just imagine that without that we could have had people in the community not knowing that they are positive. And as we speak, something that I don't want to indulge in right now is that I can assure you that this morning we had a meeting as a ministry with all our different pillars, and we came up with what we think could be the best strategies for now for Walvis Bay. I'm sure that they have to be endorsed at another level, and then the minister or the president or whoever of the highest office will make it public. So for that reason, I don't want to go into that for now.
Fair enough, Minister. The last question, Honorable Muinjangue, is there's a story that is coming out in Namibian Sun tomorrow, and it's something that we established this afternoon, that there are actually more parents, especially at the coast, that are positive, and they are isolated with their babies. Because one of the things that we are hearing is that once a family member, once that mother is found to be positive, everybody actually their family members don't even want to take their children and say, okay, while you go in isolation, we'll take your baby in. So there are babies that we hear are now in isolation with their mothers who are infected. That's a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, thank you for that question, but I can also mention that that is something that has not come to our table. But what I can say is that, of course, every situation is also being treated based on its uniqueness.
Yes.
So if I know cases where parents were tested positive, but then without the assistance of our psychosocial team, they could manage to find a family member who could be isolated with the baby or the child. But you also find challenges where in some cases the child is being breastfed.
Yes.
So there are many issues that one also take into account. So, and I can assure you that the best thing that we are trying and aiming to do is to ensure the health of the mother as well as the health of the baby. And as you say that in some cases, family members might be, reluctant to take care of a child in their care of a mother who has been tested positive. it is understandable because, you know, it's a new disease, people that don't understand it and so on. It's the same thing as when we started with HIV also, that people did not want to come. But with our psychosocial team and the education that is being provided to family members, I can assure you that every case is being dealt with depending on what is the unique context and situation of that case.
Indeed.
But of course, if we see the story in the newspaper, and also if it is brought to the attention of the ministry, we will look at it.
Yes.
But I know that we look at the story, the uniqueness of it, and try to handle that. And I can assure you that I'm happy that we have different pillars that are all working together in trying to solve those kind of issues.
Indeed. The final question, Minister, is around what is your strategy? What is your testing strategy in Walvis Bay now, in Erongo in general, but maybe specifically in Walvis Bay where these cases are coming out more? Do you have a targeted strategy to say we are targeting this and this and these groups of people because they might be at higher risk of infection, or how is the testing being rolled out? Is it random or is it targeted?
I said it's expanded, targeted testing, so which means that we are expanding it, but there are certain criteria, there are certain areas that we are targeting. For example, the correctional facility, we know that there were
cases there.
Yes, and that became a target.
Yes.
We know Tunakor, for example, it has become a target.
Yes.
And then, of course, the contacts of those people who were in contacts with positive cases.
Yes.
That is also one of our targets.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Minister, thank you very much for coming. You are always kind. You heed our invitations, and we appreciate it again.
Thank you to you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That was Deputy Minister of Health, Esther Muinjangue, speaking to us about abortion first, and of course the situation of COVID-19 in the country. Thank you for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.